to $1,827 per month starting in January. Now, most people think of Social Security as a program for older Americans, and it's true that most of the roughly 70 million recipients in the program are 62 or older. But this program also helps millions of disabled workers, children, widows, and widowers. In fact, there are 9 million disabled workers on it, another 6 million children, widows, and widowers. So this means that a broad range of Americans will actually be helped by this cost of living adjustment starting in January.
So checks will be arriving this holiday season. The lawmakers are planning to send down more inflation checks, and there is a relief check proposal that would give more help to those in need. So, stimulus checks have had a profound impact on millions of people's lives, and they may continue to affect the size of your bank during the end of this year, and even into 2023, folks. So, each state has different guidelines in its inflation checks. Some states are offering tax rebates, others are sending out direct checks that range from $50 to even $1,000. Now, states were given $195 billion, everybody. $195 billion to give their citizens a stimulus check as well. Some states are offering tax rebates while others are giving you $50 checks and even $1,000 stimulus payments. States were given this money to help the people in need. Some states like Colorado, Maryland, and New Mexico are giving checks to people who make less than a certain amount of money or who are on unemployment. Other states like Florida, Georgia, and Michigan and Texas are putting the money toward $1,000 bonuses for teachers. 2 Maine state senators are proposing to change the governor's Emergency Energy Assistance Bill to benefit those who need the most. Senator Rick Bennett and Senator Nicole told reporters that they've been working together on this bill to help the low income. And Bennett, a former Senate president who was one of the 8 to vote against the bill, said he feels strongly that the public should have a chance to weigh in before the legislature spends close to $500 million. The original bill called for $450 checks to be sent to 92% of Maine adults and set income limits at $100,000 and $200,000 for couples. That program is projected to cost nearly $400 million. So Bennett and Grohowski are proposing to send checks of varying amounts to 41% of Maine adults based on your income limit. That's up to $60,000, and the system would make payments as high as $800 for couples making $20,000 or less a year. $400 to couples that are making between $40,000 and $60,000 a year. The cost of the program would be around $200 million. So Bennett and people are proposing to keep other parts of the bill still in the stimulus program, including $40 million in supplemental funding for the low-income heating assistance program and $20 million to support emergency housing and shelters. They're proposing to increase from $10 million to $15 million in emergency heating assistance funds. Janet Yellen is even striking a cautiously optimistic tone about 2023, predicting a major inflation cooldown and stressing that a recession isn't required to get prices back under control. During an interview, Janet Yellen said, "I believe by the end of next year, you will see much lower inflation if there's not an anticipated shock." Yellen cited plunging gas prices and said on Monday that the national average is down by 52 cents a gallon. In the past month, that's a lot. The Federal Reserve is widely expected to deliver a 7th straight interest rate hike on Wednesday, though investors are betting the central bank will slow the pace of rate increases from 3/4 to a half percentage point. We don't know the Fed's aggressive rate hikes have been driving up borrowing costs, credit card rates at a record high, and even raising fears of a recession. Like other administration officials, Yellen argued the economy is in the middle of a healthy transition, from blockbuster growth to something more sustainable. Yellen said we had a very rapid recovery from the crisis, and economic growth was very high. But folks, do you agree with that? And do you think it's real what Janet Yellen is saying? Or do you think she's putting on a fluff? Well, I think that President Biden must do more for the people, that's for sure, and send out stimulus payments because people need it the most. Are people in need, and that means people that are low income, people on Social Security, they need stimulus checks greater than ever. So the IRS also started sending out letters to approximately 9 million households. They may have missed out on several crisis-related funds, and which may include a third round of stimulus payments. It delivered $1,400 to individuals, $2,800 to couples, and an additional $1,400 for each dependent. The tax agency is now contacting taxpayers who are required to file an annual federal income tax return, usually because they don't even earn enough income to tax. That's a category that can help so many people and a significant number of retirees. So of the 65 million people receiving stimulus benefits, about 1 in 4, or a quarter of them, depend on Social Security benefits for at least 90% of their income. So if you're part of that number, claiming you're missing stimulus benefit is very important because the IRS advises the fastest and easiest way for you to get stimulus cash is if you do this electronically.
They're being great kids, I tell you. Well, I don't know. Well, folks, happy Hanukkah, everyone. On behalf of Jill, Doug, and Kamala, thank you. And Rabbi, Brianna, thank you for hanging out with me a couple weeks ago. And Michelle and Abigail, to all of you here, including so many friends, thank you for being part of this moment. Just over 2 months ago, Jill and I hosted the first ever high holiday reception at the White House. It was deeply meaningful, as something that we've always will remember. It felt what the Jewish proverb teaches. What comes from the heart goes to the heart. And it went to our heart, for real. It's never happened before in the White House. Tonight, we're honored to mark another new tradition we're establishing tonight. And that is the lighting of what will be the first ever permanent White House menorah. It will also be the first Jewish artifact in the entire White House collection. You know, Jill just described it, and I echo her gratitude to the incredible White House carpenters who made it. You all didn't really appreciate that, but I tell you what, guys, thank you for the love you put into it. You know, to celebrate Hanukkah, previous administrations borrowed a menorah with special significance of survival, hope, and joy. This year, we thought it was important to celebrate Hanukkah with another message of significance, permanence. The very promise of America is that we all are created equal and deserve to be treated equally throughout our entire lives. While we have never lived up to that promise, we've never fully walked away from that promise. It's been up to each our successive generation to dedicate ourselves to delivering on that promise. That's the story of America. It's also the story of Hanukkah, a story of recapturing, restoring, and rededication of the Temple of Jerusalem, desecrated by the ancient Greeks. A timeless story of miracles, of small, courageous band of warriors fighting for their values and their freedom to defeat one of the most historically powerful empires. The miracle of that small jar of oil found among the temple wreckage that should only have lasted 1 day, yet burned brightly for 8 days. 8 days. The flame of faith that burns from tragedy to persecution with the spirit of survival and resilience that endures. And it has endured. In America, we see it in our contributions of the generations of Jewish Americans, enriching every single part and aspect of American life. Contribution defined by the values of equality and justice, freedom, charity, service,